Sexually transmitted diseases and young people. The Australian government defines a young person as someone aged between the age of 12 to 24. Because of the age range, young people are made up of adolescents and young adults. Young people make up about 13% of the population in Australia, with there being nearly 3.3 million young people in Australia. The majority of youth in Australia is male, with 5.7 being male and 1.6 million being females. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders make up 5% of Australians' young people. Why are people so at risk of sexually transmitted diseases? Young people are more at risk of sexually transmitted diseases due to a multitude of reasons, these being that in this age range, many young people, specifically adolescents, are known to participate in risky behaviours such as participating in sexual intercourse without using protective methods such as condoms. As well as during their adolescent years, they start to change and develop. Puberty changes adolescents and increases their drive for sexual development. What is sexually transmitted diseases? Sexually transmitted diseases are infections that turn into diseases. They are caused by pathogens and are spread through sexual activity, which includes vaginal, oral, and anal sex. Some STDs are chlamydia, HPV, syphilis, HIV, gonorrhea, pubic lice, herpes, and trichomoniasis. There are multiple effects of sexually transmitted diseases and are very serious and severe. These can be pain, discomfort, infertility, fetal and neonatal death, pelvic inflammatory diseases, and many more issues if not treated and or prevented. Social detriments within STDs in young people. Poor access to healthcare services. By not having access to healthcare services, it significantly limits young people's access to testing areas, resources such as condoms and health professionals trained in the area of expertise. In a study done by researchers, it highlights how most women wouldn't go to their local GPs for testing due to wanting to maintain their anonymity, but thus not being tested at all. By not being able to access this service, it creates barriers such as not receiving information on STDs, being able to get tested, accessing free resources such as condoms. Lack of knowledge due to poor schooling education. It is highly critical for sexually transmitted diseases to be taught in school education curriculum as it helps prevent the transmission of STDs. In research, study shows how women agreed that there is severe lack of education about STDs and the importance of testing. It also makes comment how it needs to be more formal and non-stigmatizing. This is common in another study where college students highlighted their lack of knowledge on STI and STDs. By not having this knowledge, young people are unaware of how STDs are spread, prevented, how to get tested, and when to get tested. Socioeconomic income is vitally important in relation to young people. By being of the lower economic class, prevents many young adults from accessing resources to prevent the spread of STDs. By not being able to afford a condom, it creates a barrier that increases their chance of contracting and spreading STDs. Lower socioeconomic people are less likely to be tested for STDs, which allows the spread of STDs. In a study done, it recognizes how people with lower socioeconomic background are less likely to access healthcare services. Therefore, demonstrating how having a lower socioeconomic background puts younger people at risk of sharing or contracting STDs. The barriers that prevent lack of resources, condoms and testing. By not being able to access condoms, young people are not able to change their sexual behavior and prevent STDs. Condoms are pivotal resources that young people need when engaging in sexual activities. Condoms are highly significant in protection against STIs and STDs. Many also are not educated on the importance of testing in relation to STDs, with many not knowing they need to be tested when engaging sexual activities. Many not being able to afford to go to doctors or being able to be tested, thus limiting their access to safe sex and making them more at risk of being infected. Interventions that have been introduced. Festival testing. Prevention measures that have been introduced to target young people are the idea of musical festival testing. Cross-sectional surveys were conducted annually from 2006 to 2011 at music festivals to test this new intervention. The study highlighted how risky sexual behavior between 2006 and 2011 increased, with more people engaging in less serious relationships with one partner and having more multiple partners in casual relationships, and people who usually use condoms started to decrease over time. This highlighted that throughout the years, young people are not being properly taught about sexually transmitted diseases as they're engaging in risky behaviour. Thus, throughout this time, they have not been effective as young people are still significantly at risk of contracting a sexually transmitted disease. Down to Test is a New South Wales scheme introduced at music festivals to promote the testing of young people. This scheme is a great way to access young people as festivals are usually flooded with this age group, and by making it free, it allows for young people to easily access, which breaks down the barriers of testing. They also pass out free condoms when doing the test, which allows another breaking down of barriers. However, testing fails as it does not, as it misses out on a large section of young people that are too young to go to festivals or that didn't go. Therefore, the study on festival testings highlights how many young people are turning to more risky behaviour and sexual activities over the years, and to combat that, the government has installed festival testings that is successful to a moderate extent. HPV immunisation services. The Australian Government Department of Health have introduced human papillomavirus immunisation service to prevent the spread of HPV, which can cause further issues such as genital warts and cancer. The vaccination is a way to prevent the individual from getting it, but is also a way to stop the spread of HPV. The vaccination is allowed from anyone to the age of 9 and is promoted when children are 12 to 13 at schools to get it. The vaccination is free and covered by the National Immunisation Project. It is strongly recommended for men who have sexual relationships with other men and anyone with a weak immune system. By having this immunisation free and accessible at schools, it is targeting children before they become sexually active and allows them to easily access their service through school. Thus, HPV immunisation service is a well thought out prevention scheme to ensure that young adults are protected against HPV as they are targeted at an early age and is easily accessible to them. However, many students are not taught the dangers of HPV and only vaccinated against it, which poses risk by not being properly educated. They are unaware of HPV and the risk associated with it. There are also some costs of getting the immunisation if you're over 15, as you need 2 doses, with only being covered by the Education is pivotal for young adults, especially in the context of STDs. By being properly educated in the topic, young people are less likely to contract diseases due to knowing how to prevent them. Education programs such as Catching On is a prevention method that targets the younger side of young people. This program is filled with information on STI, STDs, HIV, AIDS, and other bloodborne viruses. The program is in relation to the 1996 strategy released by the Director of School Education in relation to educating young people in Victoria about STD prevention. The program is highly effective as it targets young adults before and during the time they start to engage in sexual activity. However, the program was only piloted and not across all schools in Victoria, thus not reaching everyone, and however allows for free access and a safe area for young people to express their concerns about STDs and any other questions in relation to sexual